This is the camera to get. The Sony Fx5 is a pretty incredible cinema camera, and here are 5 reasons why I'm getting it. 1. 5K video up to 60 frames per second in OpenGate, meaning you can reframe your footage to horizontal or vertical formats. 2. Triple base ISO at ISO 800, ISO 4000, and 12800, meaning you can get way cleaner footage at those specific ISO levels. 3. Internal RAW video recording, meaning you have a lot more latitude to color grade and post with RAW files. Also, these RAW files are smaller than Red RAW files. Crazy. 4. The new large 4-axis touchscreen to view your footage better. Also great for anamorphic D-squeeze. And 5, probably my favorite, the removable EVF. And there's other cool features that make this camera great, like 32-bit float audio recording with a top handle, monitoring tools like false colors, waveform, and histogram, improve in-body stabilization with a 2x roll correction. But these are the main 5 features I'm really excited about, and you can get all of this for $48.99. Now, Sony is not sponsoring this video at all. I do have to return the Fx5 back. Oh, I wish I could keep it. But I'm gonna talk about this camera through the lens of a hybrid shooter, someone that shoots photos and videos equally. Like, I love my A7 IV, I love my FX2. Both are hybrid cameras with their own specialties, where the Fx5 is a cinema-first camera, kind of more along the lines of the FX6. In fact, this sits between the FX3 and the FX6. I feel like the FX3 is still a hybrid camera because you can switch between video mode and photo mode. But with the Fx5, it is primarily a cinema camera. Now, straight out of the box, if you're getting the Fx5, you're gonna get the body, the dual battery charger, the new Sony SA battery, and that's it. The top handle, which allows for a 32-bit float audio recording, is a separate purchase, or you can get it as a bundle, and the EVF is a separate purchase as well. They're great accessories. They're not cheap though, definitely not cheap, but great accessories nonetheless. Now, before I show you a tour of the camera itself, I do want to show you the low light performance of the Fx5 compared to the FX3. Do you notice that at ISO 12800, the footage looks way cleaner on the Fx5? Like, you know, with the FX3 and the A7S III, like, you get clean footage at ISO 12800, but it does tend to soften up. Well, with the Fx5, it's not softened up at all. It looks cleaner. It looks great, very, very usable. I mean, both cameras are usable in low light, but the Fx5 does it way better. Also, love that there's clean footage at ISO 4000. Like, it was kind of frustrating switching between ISO 800 and 12800 and then slapping on an ND. And so having the option of shooting at ISO 4000 is much appreciated. So the Fx5 can also do anamorphic D-squeeze with a bunch of different options. So whether you have anamorphic lenses, that's a 1.3x, 1.5, 2x, whatever, the Fx5 has a bunch of different options. It looks really good right now. Like, I'm looking at it through the monitor and control app on my iPhone. Obviously, you can look at it behind the monitor or the EVF of the Fx5, but since I'm filming myself, it makes sense to use the monitor and control app, and it looks good. Also, finally, with the Fx5, there's a bunch of different monitoring tools that you can use, like waveforms, histogram, vector scope. So awesome. You can also see those options as well on the monitor and control app. Let me just go through the different tools. So here are the different tools that I'm using: waveform, histogram, D-squeeze, zebras. And if I tap on the top over there, I can go through and cycle through the different monitoring tools that I want. Pretty awesome. And I can control whatever settings I want on the Fx5 with the app. The app is really cool. Okay, onto the tour of the camera. So for the most part, the Fx5 looks very similar to the FX3. It's a little thicker and a little bit heavier, but overall pretty similar. On the top, you have the same button layout, but on the Fx5, this little doohickey, well, that's a port where you can attach the removable EVF. To simply connect it like your old Super Nintendo controller, secure it with the screws, and now you have a tiltable EVF on the Sony Fx5. When compared to the FX2, the EVF on the Fx5 is way bigger, like twice as big. But the only downside to that is that you have to attach it and then detach it every time you want to use it or not use it, where with the FX2, it's just conveniently there. Also, what's different on the Fx5 is this scroll wheel. It's a lot smoother than the FX3. I don't really like the control wheel of the FX3 because it feels like it's more embedded within the camera body. Like, it's kind of a hassle to turn the wheel. But with the Fx5, the control wheel is a lot easier and smoother to operate. The back of the Fx5 is different from the FX3 as well. Obviously, you have the large 4-axis widescreen, which is way better for viewing your footage. Also, if you look real closely, all the display info text is on the black bars and not on the actual actual footage itself. That is really great because sometimes the display footage on my other Sony cameras can be really annoying, like pretty distracting. So pretty cool on the FX5 that display info is on the black bars. Also, the menu is a lot different on the FX5 than the FX3. The FX3 has that traditional Sony Alpha menu system, where the FX5 is more in line with the menu system on the FX6. It takes a while to get used to, not gonna lie, and I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's definitely way more professional. Also on the back, the button layout is a little bit different. On the right side of the FX6, it's simplified. You only have 3 buttons: a custom button, a home button, and a user button. Obviously, the custom buttons around the camera, you can map out to whatever function you want, but I do love that those 3 buttons are there for one-hand operation. On the top, you have your power switch. You also have a clips button, which is essentially a playback button. And then, of course, you got your menu button and your back button if you want to go back to the previous menu. Also on the back are where the vents are for the camera. There's one on the left side, one on the right side. I'm not a fan of the vent on the right side because hot air blows out of that vent, and that is where my thumb is. And so I'm just getting hot air from the camera when I'm holding it. So not a fan of that. Get it? Fan, whatever. But moving on to the sides where the ports are pretty similar to the FX3 for the most part, but with the FX5 you have the additional Ethernet port, dual USB-C ports, one for power delivery and one for fast data transfer. But the headphone and mic jack are not covered by a door like the FX3. Kind of strange. It is similar to the FX2, like those ports are not covered. Not sure why. I wish they were covered, but they're not. But moving on to the other side is where the media card slots are. You can put 2 SD cards, 2 CF Express Type A cards. The grip of the FX5 is actually the same as the FX2. Love that grip. Feels very grippy. And then on the bottom of the FX5, you have 2 1/4-20 mounts, similar to the FX2. So overall, the FX5 has a little bit of the FX2 and the FX3 combined. Now, there are only a few quirks that I found with this camera when first using it. One, it does get warm pretty quick, especially when filming 5K open gate. Also, the camera tends to reboot itself. I get it, it's kind of like a computer, but you're just kind of there waiting for the camera to reboot. And lastly, the menu system is a learning curve. Like, I'm used to the Sony Alpha menu system, but after about half a day, I kind of got used to it and I was able to use the camera efficiently. Oh, and also the vents. Not a fan of the vent on the right side of the camera because that is where my thumb is, and when the camera is blowing out hot air, I can feel it on my thumb. And so, yeah, I didn't like that. Oh, and I should probably note that there are no internal NDs in the FX5. I know everyone wants the internal NDs, but it seems like Sony is just reserving that for their higher end cameras. But other than that, I absolutely love the FX5. I am absolutely getting one. I think this is gonna be a great camera for all my production needs. I also think it's awesome that it's under $5,000. And so yeah, definitely picking one up. And if you want to check it out, links will be down below. And let me know what you think of the Sony FX5.